And now the passage from Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, where Harry Potter brings his cousin Dudley Dursley home after the Dementors attack. Scowling, Harry readjusted Dudley on his shoulder and made his slow, painful way up number 4's garden path. The hall light was on. Harry stuck his wand back inside the waistband of his jeans, rang the bell, and watched Aunt Petunia's outline grow larger and larger, oddly distorted by the rippling glass in the front door.
Diddy, about time, too. I was getting quite...
Diddy! What's the matter? Harry looked sideways at Dudley and ducked out from under his arm just in time. Dudley swayed for a moment on the spot, his face pale green. Then he opened his mouth at last and vomited all over the doormat. Diddy! Diddy, what's the matter with you? Vernon! Vernon! Harry's uncle came galumphing out of the living room, walrus mustache blowing hither and thither as it always did when he was agitated. He hurried forward to help Aunt Petunia negotiate a weak-kneed Dudley over the threshold while avoiding stepping in the pool of sick. He's ill, Vernon. What is it, son? What's happened? Did Mrs. Brokers give you something foreign for tea? Why, you all covered in dirt, darling. Have you been lying on the ground? Hang on, you haven't been mugged, have you, son? Aunt Petunia screamed. Oh, phone the police, Vernon. Phone the police. Diddy, darling, speak to Mummy. What did they do to you? In all the kerfluffle, nobody seemed to have noticed Harry, which suited him perfectly. He managed to slip inside just before Uncle Vernon slammed the door, and while the Dursleys made their noisy progress down the hall toward the kitchen, Harry moved carefully and quietly toward the stairs. Who did it, son? Give us names. We'll get them. Don't worry. Shh! He's trying to say something, Vernon. What is it, Diddy? Tell Mummy. Harry's foot was on the bottommost stair when Dudley found his voice. Him! Harry froze, foot on the stair, face screwed up, braced for the explosion. Boy, come here! With a feeling of mingled dread and anger, Harry removed his foot slowly from the stair and turned to follow the Dursleys. The scrupulously clean kitchen had an oddly unreal glitter after the darkness outside, and Petunia was ushering Dudley into a chair. He was still very green and clammy-looking. Uncle Vernon was standing in front of the draining board, glaring at Harry through tiny, narrowed eyes. What have you done to my son? He said in a menacing growl. Nothing, said Harry, knowing perfectly well that Uncle Vernon wouldn't believe him. What did he do to you, Diddy? Aunt Petunia said in a quavering voice, now sponging sick from the front of Dudley's leather jacket. Was it, you know what, darling? Did he use his thing? Slowly, tremulously, Dudley nodded. I didn't, Harry said sharply as Aunt Petunia let out a wail. Oh! And Uncle Vernon raised his fists. I didn't do anything to him. It wasn't me. It was... But at that precise moment, a screech owl swooped in through the kitchen window. Narrowly missing the top of Uncle Vernon's head, it soared across the kitchen, dropped the large parchment envelope it was carrying in its beak at Harry's feet, and turned gracefully, the tips of its wings just brushing the top of the fridge, then zoomed outside again and off across the garden. Owls! Bellowed Uncle Vernon, the well-worn vein in his temple pulsing angrily as he slammed the kitchen window shut. Owls again! I will not have any more owls in my house! But Harry was already ripping open the envelope and pulling out the letter inside, his heart pounding somewhere in the region of his Adam's apple. Dear Mr. Potter, we've received intelligence that you performed the Patronus charm at 9:23 this evening in a Muggle-inhabited area and in the presence of a Muggle. The severity of this breach of the decree for the reasonable restriction of underage sorcery resulted in your expulsion from Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Ministry representatives will be calling at your place of residence shortly to destroy your wand. As you've already received an official warning for a previous offense under Section 13 of the International Confederation of Wizards Statute of Secrecy, we regret to inform you that your presence is required at a disciplinary hearing at the Ministry of Magic at 9 a.m. on August 12th. Hoping you are well, yours sincerely, Mafalda Hopkirk, Improper Use of Magic Office, Ministry of Magic. Harry read through the letter twice. He was only vaguely aware of Uncle Vernon and Aunt Petunia talking in the vicinity. Inside his head all was icy and numb. One fact had penetrated his consciousness like a paralyzing dart. He was expelled from Hogwarts. It was all over. He was never going back. He looked up at the Dursleys. Uncle Vernon was purple-faced, shouting, his fist still raised. Aunt Petunia had her arms around Dudley, who was retching again. Harry's temporarily stupefied brain seemed to reawaken. Ministry representatives will be calling at your place of residence shortly to destroy your wand? There was only one thing for it. He'd have to run, now. Where he was going to go, Harry didn't know, but he was certain of one thing. At Hogwarts, or outside it, he needed his wand. In an almost dreamlike state, he pulled his wand out and turned to leave the kitchen.
"Where do you think you're going?"
yelled Uncle Vernon. When Harry didn't reply, he pounded across the kitchen to block the doorway into the hall.
"I haven't finished with you, boy."
"Get out of the way," said Harry quietly.
"You're going to stay here and explain how my son—"
"If you don't get out of the way, I'm going to jinx you." Harry raised his wand.
"You can't pull that one on me,"
snarled Uncle Vernon.
"I know you're not allowed to use it outside that madhouse you call a school."
"The madhouse shut me out, so I can do whatever I like. You got 3 seconds. 1, 2, crack!" And Petunia screamed. Uncle Vernon yelled and ducked, but for the 3rd time that night, Harry was staring for the source of a disturbance he had not made. He spotted it at once. A dazed and ruffled-looking barn owl was sitting outside on the kitchen sill, having just collided with the closed window. Ignoring Uncle Vernon's anguished yell of
"Owls!"
Harry crossed the room and around and wrenched the window open again. The owl stuck out its leg, to which a small roll of parchment was tied, shook its feathers, and took off the moment Harry had pulled off the letter. Hands shaking, Harry unfurled the second message, which was written very hastily and blotchily in blanking. "Harry, Dumbledore's just arrived at the Ministry and he's trying to sort it all out. Do not leave your aunt and uncle's house. Do not do any more magic. Do not surrender your wand. Arthur Weasley." Dumbledore's trying to sort it all out. What did that mean? How much power did Dumbledore have to override the Ministry of Magic? Was there a chance that he might be allowed back to Hogwarts then? A small shoot of hope burgeoned in Harry's chest, almost immediately strangled by panic. How was he supposed to refuse to surrender his wand without doing magic? He'd have to duel with the Ministry representatives if he did that. He'd be lucky to escape Azkaban, let alone expulsion. His mind was racing. He could run for it and risk being captured by the Ministry, or stay put and wait for them to find him here. He was much more tempted by the former course, but he knew that Mr. Weasley had his best interests at heart. And after all, Dumbledore had sorted out much worse than this before. "Right," Harry said. "I've changed my mind. I'm staying." He flung himself down at the kitchen table and faced Dudley and Aunt Petunia. The Dursleys appeared taken aback at his abrupt change of mind. Aunt Petunia glanced despairingly at Uncle Vernon. The vein in Uncle Vernon's purple temple was throbbing worse than ever.
"Who are all these ruddy owls from?"
"First one from the Ministry of Magic expelling me," said Harry calmly. He was straining his ears to catch noises outside in case the Ministry representatives were approaching, and it was easier and quieter to answer Uncle Vernon's questions than have him start raging and bellowing. "The second one was from my friend Ron's dad. He works at the Ministry."
"Ministry of Magic? People like you in government? Oh, this explains everything. Everything. No wonder the country's going to the dogs."
When Harry did not respond, Uncle Vernon glared at him and spat.
"And why have you been expelled?"
"Because I did magic."
"Aha!"
roared Uncle Vernon, slamming his fist down on the top of the fridge, which sprang open. Several of Dudley's low-fat snacks toppled out and burst on the floor.
"So you admit it. What did you do to Dudley?"
"Nothing," said Harry slightly less calmly. "That wasn't me."
"Was,"
muttered Dudley unexpectedly, and Uncle Vernon and Aunt Petunia instantly made flapping gestures at Harry to quiet him when they both bent low over Dudley.
"Go on, son. What did he do?"
"Tell us, darling."
"Pointed his wand at me."
"Yeah, I did, but I didn't use—" Harry began angrily, but
"Shut up!"
roared Uncle Vernon and Aunt Petunia in unison.
"Go on, son,"
repeated Uncle Vernon, mustache blowing about furiously.
"All dark,"
Dudley said hoarsely, shuddering.
"Everything dark. And then I heard things inside my head."
Uncle Vernon and Aunt Petunia exchanged looks of utter horror. If their least favorite thing in the world was magic, closely followed by neighbors who cheated more than they did on their hose-pipe ban, people who heard voices were definitely in the bottom 10. They obviously thought Dudley was losing his mind.
"What sort of things did you hear, Popkin?"
breathed Aunt Petunia, very white-faced and with tears in her eyes. But Dudley seemed incapable of saying. He shuddered again and shook his large blond head, and despite the sense of numb dread that had settled on Harry since the arrival of the first owl, he felt a certain curiosity. Dementors caused a person to relive the worst moments of their life. What would spoiled, pampered, bullying Dudley have been forced to hear?
"How come you fell over, son?"
said Uncle Vernon in an unnaturally quiet voice, the kind of voice he would adopt at the bedside of a very ill person.